Hi everyone. Oops, sorry. Welcome back to the Pot Smoker's Bible. My name is Zion. I'm the author of the Pot Smoker's Bible, which contains the prophetic book of Zion, where I get my name and authority. It comes from the Ketuvim, or Old Testament of the Christian Bible. I use the King James Version to put together the prophecy of Israel from the scattered bits of testimony from the various prophets of the Old Testament. I'm not a Christian, which is why I didn't use the New Testament. So, anyway. Um, I put together the prophecy of Israel, and I found a set of instructions as to how to bring God back to earth. So I followed those directions, and now I am fulfilling the last thing on my to-do list to become the Zion of the Most High God of Israel, and that is to publish peace here on YouTube and social media. And um, and I'm doing it without using money, because that is part of the requirement. Because in Zion, we don't use money. So I can't use money, which is why you'll never see any commercials on my feed. Um, Now, when I do get a publisher to publish the books, because right now they're just manuscripts, when I get a publisher, then I will, of course, take that contract. But I plan on taking the bulk of my portion of the proceeds and creating the Temple Complex, an organization which is completely charity and which will um, eliminate poverty. That is the goal. Anyway, so I've been reading to you from the Potsmoker's Bible. I'm on the 22nd chapter. Now, it contains the 19th chapter of the Book of Zion, which cannot be published solo because it's written entire in Bible verse. So, the Potsmoker's Bible is actually the commentary and the dissertation to the prophecy of Israel, the Book of Zion. And today, I'm reading to you from, like I said, the 19th chapter of the Book of Zion, which is called Now Shall I Rise. And we begin today's dissertation with Isaiah 10:16 to 19, which is Zion 19:20 to 23. Therefore shall the Lord of hosts, send among his fat ones leanness, and under his glory he shall kindle the burning, like the burning of a fire. And the light of Israel shall be for a fire, and his Holy One for a flame. And it shall burn and devour his thorns and his briars in one day, and shall consume the glory of his forest, and his fruitful field, both soul and body, and they shall be as when a standard bearer fainteth. And the rest of the trees of his forest shall be so few that a child shall write them. Okay, this passage tells us that not only marijuana, but other drugs, like methamphetamines, are also part of God's great plan. Yes, even methamphetamine. This sanctified by God. Why? Because the stronger the drug, the better the connection. I actually used meth while I deciphered the prophecy text the first time. It took me 4 months of intense work. I needed the meth to allow me to do the work without interruption. The flow of the alien thought had to be strong to provide detailed um, concentration. The Book of Zion would have taken me years to figure out on my own. The reference to smoking meth is obvious. When you smoke meth, the fire is under the pipe. When you smoke marijuana, you put the flame on top of the bud. This is also a very obvious reference to the fatness becoming lean. That is the result of meth. That is not to say that meth is perfect. It is not a perfected drug. It is also not used wisely or properly. It is a very potent hosting drug. A hosting drug is used to allow the gray to inhabit the body completely, or as we know it, to be possessed by God. The Delphi prophetess used the meth like drug of to channel Apollo. It's the same thing. If you look into the Delphi um, prophets, they sat over a fissure where hypnotic gases came up. And in addition to that, she took another potent drug before she sat down on that chair. This allowed her to literally leave her body so that Apollo could step into her body and speak through her. This is the same thing. Now, alcohol is also a possessive aid, but it tends to be one-sided hosting. Meth is a much better tool for this purpose. It affects lost, um, lasts much longer, and the body has no drunken effect. The host doesn't have to counter the ill effects of the drug. Meth also makes the gray better able to enjoy the dual nature of the hosting. It's not just the god that uses the human host, but the human host also enjoys the host body back home. It's a two-way connection. Meth allows both souls to be sober while being hosted. Because meth is such a powerful spiritual tool, it must be used wisely. We don't use it wisely yet, but it will be used safely in our future. Those priests who choose to use this drug will have priority to contact with the gray because the use of meth is so good for soul transfer from one body to another. This is a vital part of the interspecies communications. Meth felicitates this spiritual ability. The ability of the gray to transcendentally leave their bodies to a form of quantum science. It's that Einstein spooky action on a human scale. Thought binds the two souls together, and quantum blink transfers the souls. It's the Freaky Friday move to come to life. The quantum mechanics is the method used. I'm not a quantum physicist, so I don't know how to qualify the blink, but it is an actualizing principle. I'm here and then I think I'm there. And by thinking it in real time, I make it real. In quantum reality, the belief, the thought creates what comes into being. In a finite space, without an outside intrusion, a single entity can create anything. That is how true a force quantum is. It is truly the basis of physical reality. But we live on a much larger scale. Single is micro. But all of us thinking realities into being is a macro scale. On a planet, the thought forms that become reality are the ones that have the most thought forms behind it. The more people there are who believe in a single thought form, creates a physical reality out of that belief. The reason a miracle happens is because enough people in the system believe it. That is why false religions flourish. Not because they're true, but because thought forms of it make its image real. But by image, I mean the thought form that created it, the ideal. However false the thought form have been, however, the false thought forms have no solid basis in fact. Life is an endless series of creations. Each creation is in itself within its own created reality. This layering effect of reality binds certain concepts into the framework. Each reality is bound by its quantum framework. Any thought form that isn't within the bounds of this framework cannot be quantified. when required to oppose the framework, its false reality is forced to yield. It cannot hold its empty form in the face of the true form of quantum, of our quantum matrix. So reality is in fact a combination of energy given to a belief form within the framework of a larger and larger realities that extend into infinity. We can create our own reality as long as we play by the rules laid down by those who believed before us. This is my theory of everything. I can feel Einstein and his friends nodding at me from the other side of the framework. They and so many others are waiting to be reincarnated in the next age. Those who have died but are not yet forgotten wait their turn to be reborn. The lucky ones will await human birth, but animals are also in the mix, and they are born in their turn in what ever form is open. Most souls are born human these days. The enlightened ones wait until the new age. And the light of Israel shall be for a fire, and his Holy One for a flame, and it shall burn and devour his thorns and his briars in one day. The light of Israel, the thought form of Israel, is bound by the fire ritual, the Holy One for a flame. To obtain the Holy One, which is quantum connection, you must use a flame. Every fire related activity in the prophecy is pot or drug related. The redemption of the family of Israel is through the sacred fire of the priesthood. Drug users are priests for Israel and for the Gentiles. We consume that which is sacred. We abuse our physical form to benefit humanity. We sacrifice ourselves to a higher thought form. We are the bridge that connects the created to the creator. This is the guiding principle of all that is magic. Wiccan practitioners get this, as do mystics of all religions. Pot smokers, by Wiccan standards, qualifies as a spell. If I use a bong with water in it, I use all four elements: earth, the pot; air, my breath; fire, duh, I light the earth on fire. And with my sacred breath, I take in the sacred smoke purified by the water into my spirit in the name of the unity of goddess and God. This unity of the elements in the fires of our bowls is sacred. We use up our sacred smoke as soon as we have it. We choose to live in a connected state. Each moment that we live in that state is bliss. We, as it were, use it up in a day, and shall consume the glory of his forests and his fruitful field, both soul and body, and they shall be as when a standard bearer fainteth. This is talking about the state of the Zionite people in this society. Our light, our holy flame is consumed. Our forest is burned by the authorities. We are left with few fields to harvest. We sigh and falter in the face of our persecution, and the rest of the trees of his forest shall be so few that his child shall write them. This is talking about the large-scale fires that rage around the world, wildfires that devour entire forests. This is the Tinderlands. So few trees will be left that a child can count them. This is a sad prediction of just how bad things will get as global warming comes into its full-scale force. And may the Grey watch over you, guide you, protect you, and keep you from all harm. May they teach you right from wrong, and may you be worthy of them. May your thoughts, words, and deeds reflect truth, good, and light, the unicorn way. Find your joy and pursue it. Make that your life's work. Stay happy and high if you use drugs. You have every right and reason to. Believe me, I know. I wrote the books. My name is Zion, And I love you way too much to ever say goodbye. So I'm going to say later now.